Hey everybody, it's the Black Powder Beginner. Welcome to Percussion Discussions. And today, thinking about my last video when I went to the range and the multitude of cap jams that I did have, with the suggestions of my mentor, Mr. Keith. He suggested that I change my load of the paper cartridges. He suggested that I change my stance. He suggested that I change the way I hold the firearm. Those, things didn't involve the cap jams, but it involved my accuracy, because if you saw, it was 14 out of 40. Horrible, but I'm still learning. But the cap jams, he suggested that I take a look at a YouTube video, in conjunction with the other things that I've seen. But the YouTube video that he suggested to me was by Blackie Thomas, and his remedy for cap jams was a little bit unorthodox. Not so much unorthodox, but I had not seen it before, so I wanted to give it a try. And what he suggested and what he said worked for him was, of course, the standard defanging the hammer, smoothing down the hammer surface where it contacts the percussion cap, to keep the caps from pulling off and falling into the action, and slick shots, nipples. I'm sure if you guys have seen or been interested in black powder firearms, you'll know about those. But if not, if you're just kind of tuning in and watching this stuff, slick shots, nipples, the nipples have a small hole drilled in the sides of the nipples so that the pressure from the cap firing will release to the sides to kind of blow the cap a different way so it doesn't fall into the action. Which, mixed results. A lot of people say they work, some say they don't. But this one I've never seen. And it involves etching a notch in the bottom of the nipple. That's something that I've never seen before. And the video is 7-8 years old. So, and I've been watching these videos consistently for the past 4 or 5 months now. That's really all I watch on YouTube. And so I'm trying to pick up pointers. I have my mentor, Mr. Keith, talk to me about certain things, because I want to be, the whole point of this is for me to not only fire the firearms efficiently, but learn everything there is to know about the action of it. It's not like a semi-automatic, people. It's not just put a cartridge in a magazine, put the magazine in the gun, rack it and fire. This is something, the general idea of it is the same, but there's a lot of nuance to these percussion firearms, and I enjoy it. So, with that being said, I have elected 2 firearms to give this a shot on. The first being my 1851 Navy in stainless steel. It's quite used. It kind of reminds me of what a Civil War era firearm would actually look like after it's been in year 2 of the Civil War. It's seen a little bit of battle. There's quite a few scratches and dings to it. There's a replacement wedge. If you can't see that, I'll put that in the camera. Replacement wedge. It's got some roughage to it on the handles, on the grips. But so I have elected this firearm to be my first guinea pig when it comes to trying out the etching a notch in the bottom of the nipple. Second candidate was the actual firearm that I fired on range day, one of, and that is the Remington new Model Army target. And this one, like I said, it's a target version, so it does have the adjustable sights and whatnot. It is a fairly well firing gun. It's just quite a few cap jams. Quite a few cap jams. So I made a, in my limited knowledge, but I is a fast learner. And when I see, I'm very visual. When I see something, I can usually emulate it and improve on it once I see it a couple times and get an understanding of what is going on. So what I figured out, and with the help of my mentor, Mr. Keith, what I figured out was that the mainspring, which is inside the grip and puts tension on the hammer, the mainspring was a little loose, which may or may not contribute to the fire, how it was firing on range day, but I adjusted that. I fixed that, and so we're going to give it a shot. We're going to etch a notch in each of the nipples here, and we're going to see what happens. And I'd love for you guys to come along with me on this. So let's go. I had to figure out the right file to use to etch the notch and not so much the inside and the face of the nipple at the bottom. So I'm doing that, and as I'm doing it, I know I'm shaking the camera a little bit because I'm shaking the table because I'm trying to work the file. What I did figure out is that the file that I needed to use was a leaf. It was shaped like a leaf on the flat, but it was actually triangular around. So it wasn't the round file. It had an edge and a flat and an edge, a flat and a point. So I would use the point that had teeth, that had file teeth on it, and kind of cut that edge in there. So I just wanted to show how I was doing that, but as I'm doing that and figuring it out, I'm not saying anything. So I wanted to do this voiceover to kind of let people know that, while I'm working, I'm thinking, I'm not talking. So I didn't want you to have a bunch of dead air as I'm working with it and thinking about it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just etching the notch in. I'm feeling it with my fingernail just to see how deep it is. And then I go all the way around and do the rest of it. So that's what this little clip is here. All right, guys. So I'm making the etches, and I did the navy. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I made the etches in the navy, and I pulled out the Remington target, the Model Army target, and I started to make the notch in the nipples, and I noticed something. And, of course, the target is larger than the Navy, but it seems to me that the nipple holes are smaller on the target than they are on the Navy. And I'm trying to get a little bit of a comparison between the two. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. But it kind of makes sense because the CCI number 10s fit on this. And as a matter of fact, I'll show you. I have some Remington number 10s. I have some CCI number 10s right here. And normally, the CCI number 10s would normally fit on they fit for the most part. Seems like you may have to kind of work them on just a little bit. And they're on there. Okay. A Remington. A Remington fits and slides right on there. And you can see the difference. The CCI number 10 is not sitting all the way down on the Navy like the Remington is. So the Remington is seated all the way down. You can see it right there. While the CCI is not seated all the way down. And this is on the 1851 Navy. Now, I'll take a CCI number 10 and I'm going to put, someone, that's how I bought this gun used. So someone replaced one of the nipples for whatever reason. So I'm going to use one of the seemingly factory nipples to do this comparison. So the CCI number 10, and it doesn't, I wish I had a wood dowel. I gotta get one, but it fits like this. Okay. The Remington, and the Remington just slides right on. But it seems to me like the flash holes are smaller. So I believe, and what I really thought was that the CCI number 10s fit better on this cylinder than they did on anything else. But while I'm looking at it, the Remingtons fit just like they're supposed to. So I'm gonna take this screwdriver and just kind of, see, and it's on. It's on there. But the Remington is not. Just easily slides off. And I know I just scratched the hell out of that, but anyway. So let me see this here. Yeah. So I like the snug fit of the CCI, but it's not coming off of there. I mean, I can try to get it off of there, but it's not coming off of there. So maybe, just maybe, while I was having my range day, maybe what was going on was that as I'm firing those heavy, because the loads that I'm shooting were 30 and 35 grains. or more. 40, I think 40 grains. I think when I'm firing the pistol, it's kicking off the Remingtons and the CCIs aren't coming off. I mean, I've dented this one. I don't know if you can see that, but I've dented this CCI trying to push it down. It's not all the way seated. So maybe it's just a matter of the cap fit. But I made the etches in this one. I don't think I'm going to make the etches in this one. I'm going to give this one a try with the Remingtons, and I'm going to try to see if the CCIs kind of sit down on there. But stay tuned. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. So before I go to the range, see you in a bit, I decided to be a little bit more scientific about how I do things. With that being said, I have here the paper cartridges that I'm making especially for this trip to the range. I have quite a few that I've made, but these are specifically made for this trip. So I have, I'm trying to separate them. I have 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. I have 12 that are made where I am not only going to dip the head of the paper cartridge, but I also put it's 30 grains of 3F777 and with the felt wad inside. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can see it now, but in the light. But there's a felt wad between the powder and the bullet, or the round ball. And so I've made 12 like that. I've made 12 that are, and this is a bad example. We're not going to use that one. 25 grains without a felt wad, and 35 grains with a felt wad. And we're just going to see, and I think I'm going to stick with the 30 grains with the felt wad and the round ball. And I'm going to make a decision as to which pistol I fire it in, but I believe I'm going to stick with the target on these, on all of these, except for this one. This is the bad one right here. Jeez. And I'm sitting here and fooling with them and mixing them all up, but I'm going to give that a shot. I have some more paper envelopes that I made that I'm going to do 35 grains felt wad, and we're going to go from there and see how we do. But I've got the box. I'm going to separate them. I've got the box here, and I have Mr. Keefe's ones that he made still. So I'm going to give those a shot, and then I'm going to, I need to just do this now so that I keep them separated, because that's what I end up doing. I'll try to do something and I won't keep them separated, so that I don't know what's what. So I have these 12 that are gonna go, and these these are, like I said, these are 30 grains, felt wad, 454 round ball. And then I have 25 grains, which I think these are duds that I'm not going to go for. And I have 30 grains, 35 grains, felt wad round ball. 35 grains, felt wad round ball. So I'm going to give those a shot as well. So stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff going on. And I'll see you at the range. Well, everyone, the moment has arrived. I have gotten the muzzleloaders.com version of Slick Shot Nipples. And we're going to, and everybody's seen a video of how to pull nipples out and put them back in, so we're not going to do all that. But what we are going to do is put them in the target. Since I didn't notch, I notched the 1851 Navy. I didn't notch the target, the Remington New Model Army target. So might as well put, is supposed to reduce cap jams. And you know what? Since I got everything out, I might as well go ahead and do it on camera. So why not? Why not? If I could get my nipple wrench attachment, and there we go. So let me put this back in here, and set these to the side. Put that over there. Put that on. Let's get I wanna go. Sit that down. Sit this here, and what I did notice is that because these nipples are recessed very deeply into the cylinder, so I cleaned the target, and I failed to put up the video. I made a video because my camera angles were horrible. So, but I cleaned the target after my range day, and I'm sure I'm shaking the camera. I'm not trying to, but and I was putting because when I clean, and maybe I will eventually put pieces of that video up, but I might make a new one. But as I clean, when I clean after the range, I take the nipples out, and I can take the nipples out. I take the nipples out, put them in a bath of simple green, clean the cylinder, and then once I get done, I put everything back together. So when I was trying to put these nipples into this cylinder, it did not go well. It was an odd angle because these are the first Remingtons that I've ever owned. So I was not sure, and I didn't want to be heavy-handed with it and tear something up. So I struggled getting the nipples in. And with that being said, it made for a very difficult and frustrating day. But it took me a few minutes to get them in. Let me go to my storage case and get some anti-seize. And we're doing this all real time. You know what? Got these here. Close this up for they spill everywhere. And now these are said to be for Pieta, and I believe this is a Pieta. I think I'm good. Yeah. Well, this is Pieta, so I was right. I ordered them in general just to see. I didn't order them for a very specific firearm. I was just ordering them to see what I would do with them when I got them. So I don't want to put excuse me. I don't want to put a lot of anti-seize on there, but I want to make sure that the threads get what they need to get. So excuse me. So just kind of sit there so it doesn't. It's gonna. There we go. All right, so let's sit that down in there. Oh wow. Yeah. And oh shoot. So I know I'm turning it the wrong way. I'm trying to get it to where it seats so I don't cross thread. And there's that there's that weird angle. I have to put it in like this for it to actually go down in. And then it just turns right down in there. See that? It's because it's so recessed and the attachment is catching this lip right here, I believe. And I had to figure that out. It was very annoying, to say the least. And I know I'm only moving one side, but I figure, and it's just me figuring, and I might be wrong. Oh, dang it. There we go. And I may be wrong, but I'm figuring since it's going to be turning, it's going to catch the threads like it needs to and sit down and, kind of, and get all the threads as it turns. And I hear a little click that lets me know that I'm seating the threads so I don't cross thread. Because I have done that before with a set of spark plugs years and years ago. I was 18, 19, and I called myself changing the spark plugs on a little Geo Metro that me and my ex-wife had, and I cross-threaded the spark plug, and it was a mess. It was an absolute bona fide ridiculous mess. So with that being said, and then while I'm divulging information, and then years later, I was working on Emily's car, and I turned the spark plug in the wrong direction and broke it in the engine block. And so with that being said, it kind of, oh no, too much. Clear it off that flash hole. Well, calling myself clearing it off the flash hole. Let's go to the bag of Q-tips and get another one. See, just talking about my nonsense makes me do some more nonsense. Close enough. So yeah. So I've always, since then, I've been very leery about, there we go. Very leery about screwing things in to something. I mean, it's just one of those things. Once you do it, see, you're ready to mess up. Once you do it once and then you mess up again, you're like, there's not going to be a third time. And then there always seems to be a third time. Luckily for me, not yet. There hasn't been a third time of me cross-threading, turning something the wrong way and breaking it. I try not to put so much muscle behind this stuff. And I tend to be a bit more careful. And I'm moving pretty fast right now, but I'm really not. You just have to know yourself. And that's something that I had to learn over years of trial and error. That one, my hands are not as steady as I wish they were. And two, I have to tend to pay attention. Now, I'm doing this, but if you look at my videos, you'll see sometimes I get quiet and I don't want to get quiet. I want to continue to ramble on, but I have to focus. I just have to. And I'm sure, and that's not, there we go. And I'm sure that, that I'm sure a lot of people are like that. A lot of you out there are like that. And there we go. So we'll see what they do at the range. But in the meantime, I just want to make a notice of something. So I'm looking at these, and I don't know if it's just me, but I don't think so. But the flash hole on the percussion cap side is ginormous. I mean, let me just see if I can put that all in the camera. But factory one, muzzle loaders, and you guys tell me, what does that look like to you? I mean, let me get a better, because this looks like this one is cut off center. Like these are custom. They seem like are these custom made? I don't know. I've never seen every single nipple on the firearms that I have are the same. They are generally the same. Either they're stainless steel, nickel, gold plated, or case hardened, blued. And all the holes seem to be the same, but not these. I mean, look at that. Look at, man, I'm going to put this all in your face. Look at that. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculously huge. Now I want to I want to be, just put this up. Now I want to be kind of nosy, but I've already scared my dog once. I don't think I'm gonna do it again. But over there, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to put these in here just in case. We don't throw old stuff away just because we got new stuff. No. That's not what we do. We just put them in the package, and there you go. Anyway, I want to put a percussion cap, a number, because I think these are said to be able to fit CCI number 10s. They're supposed to fit any and everything, basically. But when we get to the range, I'm sorry I keep shaking the table, but I'm shaking the camera because I'm shaking the table. But anyway, we're going to see. So, there you have it. Fresh set of muzzle loader nipples. And we're going to go to the range. And we're going to test out if they relieve the cap jam problem. Because I fired this before, and there was a lot of cap jams. And then we also have the 1851 Navy that I cut the notch in, just to recap. And so I'll see you at the range. Sorry, everybody, about the voiceover, but I had a little issue with my mic. So I'm there at the range, Carter's Country. And of course, the previous part of the video, I'm going to be shooting the Remington New Model Army target with second firearm that I'll be shooting, 1851 Nate. So I'm gonna get started. So I'm at the bench. I've sped it up a little bit. So I'm loading the 30 grains of 777 felt wad and 454 round ball. What you saw in the previous video, I know I've I connected a bunch of videos together to make one long long one. So that's why I'm kind of speeding this up. I did lube, dip lube those paper cartridges, and here I'm trying to use an inline capper, which I've never used before, and it didn't turn out well. So I struggled with it for a little bit, trying to get it on there, and then I go back to what I usually use, which is the star capper. So I get the Remington number 10s on, and I get ready to take my first shots with the new nipples. So here we go. I changed my stance. I'm using two hands, and first shot goes off without a hitch. Now, as I'm looking at this video, and I didn't realize it at the time, I wasn't pulling the hammer all the way back. The hammer was going into half cock instead of full cock. Now, if you look, you can see that it's at full cock and fire. Just like it should. I go at it again. Hammer's at full cock, and it fires. So there's something about that Remington that is kind of weird. It feels like, if you're not really paying attention to it, it feels like the hammer is at full cock when it's really not. I made a different video where I'm cleaning because I took the target. I took the target out. My last video, I took the target out. I took the silver and gold Remington out, and the hammer is different. The hammer is different. With the target, you have to pull the hammer, I mean, all the way back to the grips, damn near. With the silver and gold Remington, new model army, you don't have to pull it back that far. So maybe there's an issue with the hammer spring or the mainspring, but I get those shots off, and I didn't really have any problems. It was more me than it was the the machine itself. But as you can see here on the bench, I have a hammer out. I have that spray out, which is some cleaner, Hoppy's cleaner, and I had some fouling on the arbor. So I sprayed and the hammer. So I sprayed the gun down with that cleaner. Okay, no big deal, right? You spray the gun down on the range, it's routine, correct? Not quite. Not quite in this scenario, in this situation, because once I did that, I put everything back together and struggling with it a little bit, but I get it back together. The problem is I didn't take a cleaning patch, a dry cleaning patch, and go through the gun. I just took that towel and I just wiped it down. So now I'm loading the 25 grains of 777 in the cylinder, and what's end up gonna be the issue is that the chambers are wet. I sprayed it down. I didn't run the cleaning patch through there, a dry cleaning patch, and so the chambers were wet, completely soaked. And I didn't spray the chambers themselves. I didn't spray the cylinder. I didn't spray the chambers itself. But you're gonna see what the result of that is right here, and that is it's not going to fire. They're not going to fire, and I didn't. And what makes it so bad is I didn't realize what I was doing and what was going on. I had brought another weapon. I fired that one. Then I went to this. I had those that went off, and I didn't even realize that I wasn't pulling the hammer back all the way. So I was starting to get a little bit irritated, and so when that happens, I was just like, man, let me clean the gun off real quick, and I'll just start firing again. No, 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 no. That's not what went on. You can see me struggling with it. You can see me fooling with the hammer, and you can also see that the Remington is not firing, and it wasn't going to fire. Now that I see it, and you know later, and I'm watching myself on video, I'm like, you didn't you didn't realize that it was the chambers were wet? No, I didn't. I didn't. I thought it was the caps. I honestly thought that it was the caps. I thought they weren't on there all the way, and that was a problem. A lot of them weren't seated, but that wasn't the problem in this instance. So you can see that nothing happens. And I cut some just to because I was fooling with it, but nothing happened. And it doesn't occur to me. It definitely does not occur to me that I sprayed that cleaner and I didn't spray it into, like I said, I didn't spray it into the cylinder itself, just the outside of the gun, the barrel. But what ended up happening was when I sprayed it down the barrel, the cylinder was still in place. And so what did the liquid do? It found its way into the cylinders. And I was turning because I was messing with the arbor. So I was turning it, trying to loose up that black powder fouling. And while I'm turning it, the spray is just going down into each and every chamber. So I make that realization now, but at the time I didn't make that realization. So this whole sequence was totally unnecessary and completely my fault. It had nothing to do with the muzzle loader nipples. It had nothing to do with the caps. It had nothing to do with the Remington, and it had nothing to do with anything mechanical. And I got that one to fire at that point. But it had nothing to do with any of that. It was just that the chambers were wet and the paper cartridges went in and they got wet as well. And so maybe, that one chamber that fired didn't get as wet as the other ones. But you'll see in just a minute that I get frustrated again. I go and switch to the 51 Navy. Now, by this time, I'm irritated. I don't even do a second camera or anything like that. I'm just like, let me just see if I can get some shots off. So I fire first shot, had a little cap jam, no problem. But then, boom, the caps were not seated all the way onto the nipples. The shots go off, the nipples scooted back a little bit because the Remingtons, they don't fit as snug as the CCIs. The CCIs you kind of have to force on. So when you're firing, the other nipples are going to stay on because they're on there. The Remingtons, not so much. So this is what the result is. So this one, you don't account to the user, even though I should have made the realization, and I did later. But that's what it was. It wasn't cap. It wasn't even cap jams. It wasn't cap jams at all. It was just that the caps weren't seated all the way. You get the fire, they would scoot off a little bit, And so there you go. So you cut. I did get one or two cap jams. I'm not going to say that I didn't have any, but um, not as many as I had the previous range day. So, and when I'm turning the cylinder, I'm looking for cap jams. I'm not looking to see if the caps are seated all the way, which was the mistake of mine. So here we go. I go back to the target. Now it's been sitting. It's been sitting. I took, and so now it's kind of trying to dry a little bit. But you see that all that excess smoke, it's still kind of wet. It's got to still. It's still good. And I haven't discussed this with anybody just yet. I haven't talked to my mentor. Hasn't seen this video yet, but I'm sure he's gonna say, yeah, that was wet. And then of course, shot goes off previously. Cap is not on there all the way because the Remington slipped off, or that one those chambers, boom, and you see a cap fall off. I shake my head. The cap went off. It popped off like it was supposed to, but there was no fire because, and I still haven't made the realization. I still haven't made the realization that the cylinder, the chambers are wet, and that's really why it's not firing. That's why you're still seeing smoke because it's still kind of burning. The residue is still burning, and I'm gonna make another video where you'll see the result of this debacle. So I'm still fooling with the target here. It still hasn't occurred to me that it's wet, that they're wet in there, that cleaner is in there still, and I'm still trying to fire the firearm. Now at this point, I've gotten to the point where I'm just totally irritated. It was other people at the range. It was it was kind of noisy. Of course, it's a gun range, but people were talking to me, so I was stopping to talk to people. So I said, well, I'm just going to go back to the 51 Navy and a cap that's not seated and it doesn't go off. So I scoot over to the closer, well, the farther away target, the 20-yard target or 15-yard target, and fire, but it's not cap jam. It's just not. It's more to me like the Remingtons are a little bit too loose. Now maybe the RWSs fit perfectly like where CCIs are too tight and Remingtons are too loose. RWSs are fit just right. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna buy some. But in any event, I get the shots off. As you can see, the shots are going off rather easily. Now, well, I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon on that. But if you're watching this just like I'm watching it, um, it kind of and you can see the cap fly off. And I didn't notice this until I'm watching it right now. I'm doing this voiceover. The caps are popping off like they're supposed to, and this is with the Blackie Thomas modification on the nipples. And so now I'm fed up, and I'm like, you know what? Last shot, and I'm going home. So I'm gonna go back to the range. I'm gonna make another video about the aftermath of my catastrophic mistake, and then I'm gonna go back to the drawing board on all of this. But in the meantime, that was the range. So there you have it. Another range day in the books. And my general take on it is the muzzleloader.com nipples work fairly well. But what really surprised me is that when I could get things to fire, you'll see well, you have seen. And the notch in the nipples for the 51 Navy worked much better than I thought it would. So, once again, it was a semi-successful day, but I'm gonna go again. We're gonna keep going, and once I'm gonna have to take care of these cylinders here on the Remington, and once I get that done, and I get the firearms cleaned, now I'm gonna use the same tool, and we're gonna go again. Um, so why don't you take a look at the my results? So here is target number one, and I actually marked them this time. These where it says 40 are a 40 caliber that I shoot as well. So I just kind of reused the same target, and these are the Navy shots. And this was at 7 yards. That's 7 yards. I hit on every single one, I believe, for the Navy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I hit on every single shot on the Navy. I didn't hit them all inside the circle, but it was actually pretty successful. That's 7 yards. I mean, geez. And that was the 30 grains. That was with the 30 grains. No, this was with the 25 grains. I stand corrected. This was 25 grains at 7 yards. And you can see the pattern. I'm kind of floating off to the right and up, or actually bringing it down. So that's that target. And here is the other target. These are all from the black powder revolvers. The T's are for the Remington target, and the ends are, of course, the Navy, and the ends at 30 grains. 30 grains at 15 yards. And this is the target at 30 and 25. I only got 3 shots off with the 25 grains. So, and the 3 shots actually hit. So that as you saw in the video, I'm changing my stance. And so with that being said, holding the firearm with both hands, just until I get a better feel for it. But as it stands, that's what it looks like. Anyway, like and subscribe. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you next time.